About 25 miles north of here, in my hometown of Delaware, there's an inscription carved in stone on the facade of the oldest public school in the city. It reads, "Education adorns riches and softens poverty." Education adorns riches and softens poverty. And we all know that to be true. That's why we're all here. That's why we do what we do. Whether you're a student, a graduate, a teacher, an administrator, a member of support staff, a family member, or a supporter, we all believe in Ecot's mission because we know the value of an education. Let me tell you about another inscription carved in stone, and this one's a little bit closer to us today. On the other side of Broad Street, there's a statue of the late, great Governor Jim Rhodes. Carved in the granite base of this statue are the following words: "All social ills among able-bodied people come from the lack of a job." We all know you can't compete in the 21st century job market without an education, and for many Ecot students, failed by their traditional brick-and-mortar schools, Ecot represents the last best chance at earning a high school diploma. So my question for our state government, which has the oft-repeated purpose of economic prosperity and job creation, is this: how is the next generation of Ohioans supposed to get jobs if they can't first get an education that works for them? Today, education is under threat in this great state. When it's more important to protect the traditional education industrial complex by killing innovation than it is to provide an education that works for our kids, we know there's a problem. We can tell there's a sickness in the very heart of the state's educational administration when unelected bureaucrats want to cut Ecot's funding for a student who misses a week of classes because she's having chemotherapy or because he's in the hospital. And meanwhile, they don't cut 1 red cent of funding for traditional brick-and-mortar schools, even if their students sometimes don't show up for entire months without a doctor's excuse. They want to measure education by login time when they know very well that Ecot has thousands of students enrolled in legitimate, approved online courses using outside servers that have simply never been set up to communicate login duration data to our servers. But quality education has never been about time anyway. If you want proof, just look at some of the graduates of chronically failing traditional schools. They may have had the seat time in school, but some of them can barely read. Quality education is measured in competence and mastery, not hours and minutes. As you know, we're in a fight for the future of education in Ohio. And in this fight, we don't want special treatment. We merely want the right to fair treatment and equal protection under the law. We want the right to educate under fair rules that are clearly spelled out ahead of time, not written after the fact with zero input from our elected leaders. But let me tell you what we want most of all. Our deepest desire for every Ecot student, all 15,000 now and untold more in the future, is the very birthright of every Ohioan, your constitutionally guaranteed right to an education that works for you. Until our last breath, we will fight for this inheritance on your behalf. Not just because it's good for Ohio's economy, and not just because it's good for your future, but because it is right, and because it is your right as Ohioans. I have a special message today for Ecot students across our state. I have confidence, despite the existential battle we're in today, that we will prevail. I know this because I see that same contagious faith written on the face of every Ecot student and teacher I meet. The faith needed to put one foot in front of the other and keep marching forward. I've seen it in the eyes of each of the thousands of graduates whose hands I've had the privilege of shaking as they walk across the stage at commencement. The faith that their hard work at Ecot will pay off and enrich their lives. And I have faith because as I look out upon this crowd today, I don't see a single person who is going to give up their right or their children's right to an education without a fight. And rest assured, this fight is not yours to bear alone. My colleagues on the board and I stand with you. Ecot's administrators, staff, and teachers are fighting alongside you, arm in arm. Your families, your classmates, previous Ecot graduates, and yes, even some members of the legislature in this building behind me stand alongside you. All of us are working together to help bear this burden on your behalf. And together, I know we'll win this battle. Because together we are Ecot!